Hey guys, drone mechanic here. It's been pretty cold up in the Northeast these last few months, so we haven't had much chance to get outside and fly any quads. What we have done is do a little indoor flying. Today I have a new quad to show you guys. Pick this up at Radio Shack. It's the Photon X-9 by Odyssey Flying Machines. Pretty excited about this one. It's a pretty cool little drone. It's the first one I've ever seen of this size that's a hexacopter. So we'll take it out, take it for a spin, see what it's like. So when I first picked up this box, I kind of thought it was a joke, like it wasn't real. You could see the image of the toy is a little warped, and it just looked like one of those kind of cheap, fake, sort of typical Chinese-made drones, but I was intrigued because this one says it was designed in the USA, which is kind of cool, and they put their website, Odyssey Toys, right there in the front, so I said, yeah, for $30, let's give it a shot, see what it's all about. There's a couple interesting features to this before I crack it open. It does have some really nice bright LEDs. It does have a roll switch, so supposedly it can do flips in the air. Has a USB quick charger involved with it, 2.4 gigahertz radio, has a 6-axis gyro built into it, pretty tiny. Has some, again, really bright lights, it kind of puts it twice. But also the controller itself can be used as sort of like a gyro sensor. They're calling it a gravity sensor here, but basically it gives you tilt control. So you can tilt the actual controller itself, must have some gyros built into it as well. So if you don't want to fly with the sticks, you could literally control it by moving the controller backwards and forwards. And it looks exactly like sort of a knockoff PlayStation controller. So let's crack it open and take a look. We got the paper-thin manual. Look how tiny it is. Comes with some extra props. The charging cable. So this is the fast charging USB cable they were talking about. You got the controller. So this is the controller they were mentioning was gyro enabled. So it looks like you got your throttle and pitch or yaw I think control on the left and right, and then you have your ailerons from airplane speak, and your pitch control here. So it's a pretty typical layout. I like the fact that the controller has a standard, I think this is called mode 2, where throttle's on the left. There's some trim controls here, so if it's starting to go a little too far to the left or right, or if it's starting to drift a little bit to the left or right, and also some pitch trim controls on that side. Also some additional buttons. It has a switch for off and then low, medium, high, which I think is supposed to be the different kinds of flight abilities. So in high it can be a little more aggressive, and low it'll be pretty easy to fly. And then it has a whole lot of buttons on the top. Let's take a look at the diagram to see exactly what this controller does. You can see it has an antenna on the top, some function switches, light indicator, aileron and rudder switch. I'm not sure what that does just yet. The trim and the control sticks. Also has, interestingly enough, a USB charging port in the bottom, which I think is kind of nice. I'll switch over and I'll show that to you. You can see it has a little charging port in the bottom there, so you can actually plug the charging cable into the bottom here and charge your drone without even being near a USB port, like an adapter or a computer or something. So that's kind of cool. Let's take a look at the actual drone. It is so tiny. I think it's cool looking though. As I said, it's a hexacopter, so this is the first tiny hexacopter I think I've ever seen. Having 6 tiny blades, 6 motors. Sort of an intelligent thing that they did here, and I've started seeing this in a lot of smaller drones, is you can tell that the circuit board is actually the shape and size of the frame. So they put plastic on the top and bottom of the frame, but the inner part, the actual part that keeps the that maintains the shape of the body and allows the body to adhere to something is the printed circuit board they've basically cut to match the size of the quad. So that's kind of cool. The battery, as you can tell, is not replaceable. It's kind of built into the inside. I suppose you could just take all the screws out. Actually, I noticed that I lost a screw there. You could take all the screws out and replace the battery. Most likely it's probably soldered onto the motherboard inside, but you know, theoretically it's possible to change it out. And theoretically it's also possible to replace these little motors if one of them dies. You know, brushed motors tend to not last that long, so you know, if I ever run into that situation, I'm sure I'll post a video about it. Has a simple on and off switch, very well labeled on here. It's a little hard to hit because it's so tiny, but you can see, you know, it fires right up, it's ready to go. So let's take this thing for a test flight. So we got the little drone on. I'm gonna just turn the controller on. It does start to flash a little differently once the controller is fired up. I'm just gonna push this forward and then bring it again back, and that will pair it up. And you'll see the lights in the front. There is a button down here that allows you to turn the lights on and off. I'm trying to find what that is. There we go. All right. One of these buttons does that. Yeah, there you go. The right 2 button, you see, you can turn the lights on and off, but it's very responsive, so I'm gonna fire it up. Whoop. A lot of these little mini quads are not, but I mean, from a stability standpoint, it is fairly stable, given how small it is. Try and get it pretty close to the camera so you can see. And it does have a flip ability, and I'll zoom out a little bit to show you what that looks like. But it turns really well. Again, you can turn the lights on and off. Yeah, there was this flip. Went a little too close to the ground. I'll do a flip again. Press the 2 button and it'll do a flip for you. It's a small drone, so it'll take a minute for it to, you know, survive the flip and come back. But I really like it. It really flies well. It lasts for about 3 or 4 minutes before you need to recharge it again, but it doesn't take long to charge, about a half an hour. You can save a little battery juice by just turning the lights off if you want to. It is fast. This is on the low speed right now. I'll turn the lights off again so you can see it, but there's also a switch that allows you to go into like a more aggressive, faster mode, so it turns a little better. Easy to lose. Overall impressed by how well it flies. It really is a lot like a bigger sized drone, just in a much smaller package in terms of its performance. If you get a chance to catch one of these in the store or something, I highly recommend it. And thanks for watching, guys. Take care.